Alright guys, we are back with the round of 16 action here for the ESL Go4 EU Overwatch Cup number 14, and we have quite the match in front of us. Scribe, we have Mixx versus a Team Project, and this is honestly quarterfinals, semifinals, if not just a finals quality match that we're going to be getting to watch here early on in the round of 16. It should be pretty exciting. How do you feel about this one?
Honestly, very positive. Mixx has obviously had a lot of great results. Team Project definitely no other team to sneeze at. I think they've definitely seen a lot of great stuff from them too. So hopefully we'll be seeing a very good game. And if it's on, Dorado, that could be a great map to start off on.
It really is. It's honestly a stock standard map right now. I mean, when you look at if you were to look at the aggregate of the last week of events, especially since a new patch, which really hasn't been that much, but Hollywood, Kings Row, Dorado, pretty much your standard maps. Been seeing a little bit more of some flavor picks. Anubis has been showing up a lot more. Hanamura has been showing up a lot more, and there has been some teams, of course, trying to get like Route and best of threes, best of six. But really, these are the three maps that you really need to be strong on as a team, because at the end of the day, with the way the drafting is right now, which is of course something we can always have a talking point on, but you ban till you're done with till you have the map pool. So it inevitably is going to go to maps that are more common between teams, and that's the only way to do it when you're choosing one map. When it's best of threes, I personally would prefer a world where teams ban, pick, ban, and then random or something like Counter-Strike. We've had these discussions before, but it will pretty much always go down to a map that both teams are common with. Lijiang is the other one that's very common in the pool right now.
Yeah, and I agree. It's just honestly, there's so much diversity going on in the maps. But as I think that we add more and more maps, I think it's going to be harder and harder to come up with a set ban strategy, or at least maybe. I mean, this is kind of the issue you run into, right? Is that because there's so many viable maps, but there's only so many maps that you can realistically ban before you kind of start running into issues where it's like, man, we're banning like eight to 9 maps to play like 3 of the standard. It might honestly make more sense for Blizzard to go back, or maybe with some kind of competitive help, to start creating like playlists for specific maps. So you're saying like, oh, we'll definitely play like maybe one CP, one one King of the Hill map, and one escort map, and one hybrid or whatever, and then you can kind of use that and say like, well, that's actually a really cool approach, and we can just start making playlists for that. So maybe that's something they can take approach. Maybe like stick certain maps that are always going to be used. That way teams can prepare for those, and rather than saying like, oh, I don't like this X variation of the 2CP.
I completely agree with that. I definitely think that that's another way to go around it, and you could go follow the CS:GO style. Definitely options out there. Hopefully something ends up happening, but don't want to get too much delay as this match. There's going to be a lot to talk about. It's only going to be a best of one, guys. We're getting right into it. And if you are having issues with the stream, definitely just go ahead and reload your browser, because everything should be good. As we do have Ludi over here picking up the Mercy. We have Tinia going to be picking up a Symmetra. Spree is going to be picking up the Zarya. We have Chipsa going to be picking up a Junkrat. Christopher going to be picking up the Reinhardt. And then last but not least is going to be Wacko over here on his McCree.
On the side, we have Mete on the Zarya, Mesomorphis on the Winston, Clanton on the Tracer, Cabal on the Zenyatta, Ubi on the Genji, and Kratos Digga on the Lucius.
And something else that I've heard Uncle Swag say, if you guys do have issues with the stream, apparently using the pop-out player can help you as well with some issues. Not sure exactly what issues that will resolve, but it is something to try as well. As we are going to be into this game, again, it is time bank, as we did just do a King of the Hill. So that means that if these teams are able to successfully push very effectively and have lots of time left on the clock, they will have a chance to completely complete the map a second time. Defense with this incredibly hard stall comp needs to get early kills, and there you go. Cabal's going to go down very early on as Chipsa gets that kill, and that's going to push back the offense here. They're not going to have much of an opportunity, but they did get the cart up to where they want. Now they need to think about an engage, but with a Riptire available, this is why you pick Junkrat, this is why you pick Symmetra, and also they're running Symmetra of Mercy. This is a lot of reinforcement potential for the defense.
Yeah, all they want to do is recover this first point, because they know that the walk from there to the first point is super long right now. But UB's in the backline just kind of spamming, and I hope they notice him. They're saying the Riptire specifically to kill him, and that's so good. That was honestly the win condition, was to get that flank out, get that Dragon Blade off, and use that to open up the choke point. But because they take him out and they committed an ultimate to do it, which is fine on my behalf, they're able to stall it out just a little more right now, and now they're going to run into some issues potentially with engaging. They're just stalled out so far, and it's already so much time has passed.
Noobs, competitive players, tournament players, pro players, all the same. Genji has some PTSD involved with him with that Dragon Blade and merits solo ults, that's for sure. And that will go ahead and buy them a little bit more time, but as soon as Ubi's alive, he goes ahead and takes out a kill. He's in the background, he ends up cleaning up Wacko. And if he does clean up the Symmetra here, this could be devastating because Symmetra has her ultimate up and Tania goes down without having used the teleporter. And right when everything was going well for the side of Project, Mixx gets into a great position and pushes forward, getting a ton of kills. In fact, not losing a single member as they take this push, and Chipsa will end up going down to Mete as he pushes through small room into that side area and it pushes him out. And that's going to be the first point. Decent defense, but at the same time, you'll have to ask whether or not the Symmetra really did that much. Junkrat definitely, but Symmetra, it's so hard to get her to work in the current meta.
Yeah, honestly, it's more about staying alive, and the problem is, you can only really, you have the option to only keep Symmetra alive. I don't think you have the real option in this meta to do both because of how much engagement you have. There's so much crowd control that's available on your backline. Protectors like Zarya and McCree, you only have one flashbang every every 12 seconds or so. So basically, oh man, the great ground hunter catches out so many people, and this gives Winston so much room to work.
Oh no, Ubi ends up getting knocked off. He had a dash to reset that. Ubi, unfortunately, having a little bit of jitters there and not able to climb up the wall, not able to get the dash timing. It was reset, so he could have just cleanly done it and dashed back through, dashed and slashed. But nonetheless, it's clean enough and good enough for the side of Mixx to continue to move forward. And that was definitely off the back of Mete. Definitely a good setup, and the rest of the team following it up. The question is whether or not the defense can get their feet under them and get themselves in a position. They have some ultimates to work with. They have the Graviton Surge. They have the Deadeye, but they need to get something done with it. Graviton Surge is going to be used on the card, and that looks like it's going to be good enough to clean up both teams using the Graviton Surge, but not needing the follow-up with other ultimates, really, as the Dragon Blade, even for that first Graviton Surge, wasn't strictly necessary to get all those kills. And Winston, Mesomorphous, turns the corner in Primal Rage and says, hello, and backs off and says, never mind, my team's dead. I don't want to be a part of this. Him and Clanton are going to try to get the escape, and they do. Defense, though, with decent ultimate advantage, or decent ultimate position here, but the offense is getting close to having those double support ultimates, and that's going to be a part where the defense is going to have a hard time holding.
Yeah, and I agree right now. But right now, Chipsa does have his ultimate, which is pretty game changer right now. They need to make sure this Pharah stays alive and basically is able to burst through, drop the beat. It's fine to wait this out right now, but he needs to make a great ultimate, needs to convert right now. He needs to get at least one kill, and is not able to convert. But that res does bring the fight back into the defense's favor. They need to make sure that more conversion. Ubi goes down to Ludi, which is already a positive sign when your support can take down a huge DPS dealer. But right now, they need to outside stay in the fight. The walk from the defense is so much shorter right now. Great drop the beat, sustains it even more, and I think this is enough.
Chipsa trying to do as much damage as possible on this Pharah. We've been on him for a moment, but unfortunately his rockets just have not been hitting as much as he would like. Aiming for that Zarya for a little bit. I question that possibly could have gone for some directs onto the Tracer. Will end up actually almost taking out the Lucio. That's Kratos Digga, but nonetheless, Chipsa not getting the most out of that ultimate. Like you said, I have to agree. At the end of the day, they need to get a little bit more value out of that barrage. They do play around the Resurrection well, though, so they end up winning the fight. And now the offense needs to reevaluate here, as they have no support ultimates, but they do have the Dragon Blade Graviton Surge to work with.
Yeah, so honestly, they just need to stall this out just a little more. Christopher having the Earth Shatter is so big. Wacko along with the Deadeye is also very strong as well. But Ubi, that's the man to watch right now. Mete has the Graviton Surge right now to set up Ubi for the rest of that. And man, Wacko takes out Kratos, which is already a terrible sign. And Mete goes down as well. Ubi needs to convert on this so hard.
Ubi's going to go ahead and use the Dragon Blade, and I think it might end up working out. Clanton gets himself a double kill. Earth Shatter comes out from the defense of Reinhardt, but no one, I repeat, no one is alive. Spree, that's just a lie. You're going to die eventually, and they will end up taking the point, and that is going to be a conversion into the reactor section. 3 minutes remains here, or I believe it's 2:30 now with the new changes. Yeah, 2:30 remains here for the side of Mixx as they push into the reactor section. And this, well, it was hard to get the push going before, but it only gets harder here, Scribe, because the defense, they've got very good natural position here.
Yeah, and especially with that Pharah has so much high ground to deal with, and the fact is that she can just keep on, essentially keep on jumping off that platform, reset, her fuel, and basically continues to in the air. Oh man.
Never mind, he was actually just baiting it. They thought he was going to DC, and then he just stands there and self-bubbles. A little bit of a cheeky play, not going to necessarily win or lose you a game, but a Graviton Surge going to hit on two. Going to maybe set up a big enough play for them to hold on here. They won't go ahead and rip out the Graviton Surge. They will just go ahead and get the kills and back out. But a dash through on Ubi through the fair. It does a fair bit of damage to Chipsa. Will get top back off. The offense continuing to fight this out. I don't necessarily agree with this, but nonetheless, they are going to go ahead and do it. They end up forcing Chipsa, or at least mentally putting Chipsa in a position where he feels like he needs to use that rocket barrage. Now they're not going to have that.
Yeah, and that's not exactly great coming to this fight because, I mean, I guess it's not too bad. Wacko still does have his ultimates. He does have a lot of initial, clear that's offered, and they do have two other both defensive ultimates. Right now, it's all going to be about playing around, the opponents, the engaging teams right now. Their defensive ultimates. You have to play around the sports, bait something out, and, try to see if you can kite back.
Deadeye from Wacko gets nothing done during the sound barrier, so a little bit unfortunate of a waste of that sound barriers. The offense is going to use theirs now, pushing forward, trying to get some damage, and you can see the HP differences as the defense is starting to fall apart a little bit. But Ludi is going to be the first kill, and that's the opposite of what needs to happen when you're playing around Rez. Cabal here on the point, trying to fight it out, but we're going to switch over to Spree because he's the last member of the defense. Watching him die, as he really couldn't do much there, but he needed to try to do something. And what can the defense do? Project on the back foot here. They have had a decent defense if you look at it stopwatch-wise or time bank-wise, but they need to try to get it into overtime. That's the key goal here as the Nerf Shatter comes out, getting a lot of damage done. This is where Chipsa has a chance to shine, as his team is going to be forcing the fight on the cart. The offense isn't going to have the time to think about dealing with the Pharah. They need to think about getting on the cart, but no, Chipsa is going to end up killing himself, but there's the resurrection. Lude was alive all along for that. They were playing for the res. They get the res set up, and now they also have it. That rocket barrage available here. Chipsa shouldn't use it, as they do need to look for the long run here. Maybe not here, as there's actually only 3 seconds left, as I wasn't paying attention to the clock when I made that comment. The offense is going to have to try to get it converted right here, right now, as there's going to be a Dragon Blade used. Chipsa trying to find him, but it's pretty much impossible to keep up with that target. Ubi isn't going to get any more kills after that, and that might just be a defensive hole as the side of Team Project. Nope, overtime proc. It's not over yet. Most likely will be, but nonetheless, we can't give up hope yet for the side of Mixx, as they have bought themselves another opportunity. Soundberry is going to go out for the defense, and I think that is going to go ahead and set the Fate's wheel in motion. Yep, and they will go ahead and lose the point. So, they basically have the full map to work with, Scribe, but if we look at the time bank situation, I mean, if there's any decent push coming out from the side of, or I guess we'll say the time situation, not the time bank, for the side of Mixx, if they don't get a good defense going early on, and the side of Project is able to get the first and second checkpoint taken quickly and get into Reactor with a lot of time to work, I mean, the time is their friend at that point.
Yeah, that's the problem with these time-based situations. I don't even know what they're running right now. I have no idea what's on that side right now. Widow, Ana, Torbjorn, and Winston, interesting composition to be bringing out right now. But if you're going to want something that's going to set the tone for the entire game, whether it be a super fast push or a super strong hold, this is the opportunity to bring something a little, maybe a little weird out. And not exactly sure how the offensive Torbjorn works here, but
I think it might just be a spawn troll, to be honest, but we'll see here. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up a Widow, but for the Mercy player, yeah, definitely a little bit. I was hoping for some rituals or something going on, maybe some Futurama theme from the bells, but unfortunately, if you're watching this project, you guys are just not exciting at all in the spawn, and just the Winston spamming. Sorry about that. But yeah, they're feeling good. You can kind of tell they're joking around. They're picking that Torb. They're picking that Widow. They're saying, spamming emotes. They're having a good time in spawn. We'll see. We'll see. They definitely have all of the opportunity rests on the side of Project's hands here.
Yeah, and honestly, they're in a weird position where they've kind of gone for more consistent team composition, which means that they're not going to see those, the high hold times. I think they're just trying to stall out the entire map rather than getting a full hold on this specific point. But that chokehold, that yellow wall chokehold is infamous right now for being so hard to push through.
Yeah, it really is. Murder hole is one term that they use a lot of the time in Counter-Strike for those huge chokes, but I prefer to call this the Dorado hellhole, because if the offense doesn't get through properly, it can literally turn into a situation where they don't have any options, where they've lost so much tempo, they've lost ultimate advantage trying to push up the choke, and that's why you see that stair push, that's why you see that secret flank all the time, or over here in the left side of your screen, that little ledge. But so far, pushing up the payload, not too much more. Project just getting into position, and they're going to go for a stair play here. And this is definitely the standard play for most teams in this situation.
It's all about, you know, staying safe, but the payload's getting actually pushed out of the more difficult part of the little part of the map right now. And now they're using the stair push to exactly abuse that fact that they now push off the car. They're pushing the car forward right now. Now it's like actually in a really good position, but you know, that charge does kill Spree, Wacko does kill Ube, and right now on the side of the offense, it's just going so well. They can take this fight.
They really can, and right now, if you look at the charge on Lude, that's the target you want to look at right now, guys, is the offense. When you get that resurrection very early on, you can afford to take trades here, and especially when you look at the factor of the spawns, the defense is going to be in a very bad position. Winston here, trying to fight it out, but Chipsa, where he was absolutely missing rockets before, hitting great predictions there, and then Caster's Curse, he gets himself caught in a corner between a wall, trying to bop himself up in the air, but won't end up working. He does survive somehow. Ubi, unfortunately, missing those Reaper shots. I don't think Chipsa should have survived, but he does. And now the offense, great ultimate situation.
They just leave the payload back there in order to gain some of that high ground right now. Advantageous situation by playing Farah is that he doesn't have to work hard for the high ground situation. If he stays up there able to boop, you know, a team off or redirect another team off, that's actually a really good place to start. But that Deadeye goes down. Oh man, drop the B, hopefully to counter it, and maybe just holding on, but still takes out Ludi and Christopher, and that's a great ultimate from the McCree.
Disgusting combination of plays, disgusting combination of players there, as we have the Reinhardt and the McCree. We have Clanton and we have Mesomorphous. Definitely both names that you should have heard before, and if you haven't been hearing them, now you do. Mesomorphous, definitely a Reinhardt that I've always respected in his play. Christopher as well, but Mesomorphous definitely earlier on for me in my Overwatch studying, and also as well, Clanton always has had a very, very respectable McCree, but comboing up there needed more than ever, as we do actually have the Earth Shatter going out from Christopher. We're going to go ahead and leave the McCree as he's looking for the other flanking McCree. And the offense, though, 3 kills. Clyde ends up taking out Wacko, as Wacko was attempting the flank to get on the high ground, but maybe that wasn't the best play. At the end of the day, his team falls apart. It's hard to say. Of course, hindsight 2020, they made the call to deal with that flank, to deal with that, and maybe get Clanton in a good situation, but his team ended up being in a bad one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Right now, defense has a lot of ultimates to use. They can hold this out for a little longer, but they can't be greedy. They can't forget the fact that they have to hold one more point after this. Don't burn everything. Just burn one or bait something out.
They really do need to, like you said. It's playing for that long game, especially since they're in that position, and I keep switching to the wrong people. Wacko will end up going down as I switch over to Spree. The offense is actually pushing their spawn. It's just the Primal Rage Winston. He will go ahead and back up. Good understanding and a responsible play coming out of Mete. They're making that decision to say it's not worth it anymore. I can't get anything. I can't, you know, play into that too much. I need to back out in the offense. Well, now they've got ultimate advantage, and they are going to go for a right side push here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is all that matters right now is on defense, utilizing that well. Honestly, force them to come into you. Notice that Mercy does have ultimate, and that's something that is different. Play around that, force that Reinhardt showdown. They're just going to use it to zone, which is a good idea. Hey, prolong the fact that they have to engage. Remember, this is still stalling out. They want to abuse the fact that time bank is kind of an interesting mechanic, but also, you know, does allow for these stall plays to do happen. And they understand right now, yeah, this is so weird.
Yeah,
they're
right?
basically...
One Deadeye zones and then the other one zones, neither team touching the carpet. It will eventually be changed when the initiation comes out from Mete to kind of create some space for his team. Gravitons are just going out for Spree, hits on 2. Wacko needs to combo on this, and it looks like Christopher and Chipsa are going to go ahead and chime in off of the back of that. Ubi goes ahead and takes out Lude, but that was after the resurrection. So getting what Mercy needed before dying. Question is, will they continue to get these kills? Ube did end up going down to Wacko, and that's going to make it that much harder for them to continue to take this fight. Cabal will end up taking out Spree, and that knocks out Big Threat. Or sorry, Spree ends up taking out Cabal, and that knocks out not only a Big Threat, but that healing and also that Transcendence. As Cabal was getting close, 70%, but they are maintaining the hold here. Side of Chipsa, Christopher, or sorry, his Zarya teammate Spree, trying to continue this fight. Earthshatter goes out, but Mesomorphous flicks the shield up, stops that, and Ubi's going to go ahead and channel the Death Blossom, helps get 2 kills, and this is the defense holding their ground, holding their moment. And these are teams that you guys might not have heard of as watching major tournaments, but these are definitely the major tier 2 teams to watch out for. As Mixx is one of the best, if I'm not mistaken, mainly French team, as they do have, I believe, mainly French players, but of course, Team Project, a very, very, very strong up-and-coming UK team, as well as just other members from other regions. But these are definitely teams to watch out for in the EU scene.
Yeah, and honestly, right now they're in a tough situation right now where they don't have that many offensive tools right now. If Chipsa goes down, this is so bad for the offense because now they lose a lot of their damage, and this is just a roll from the defense right now. All they had to do was hold, and that's just not going as well. Wacko burns the ultimate, and I can't help but thinking the offense is in a really, really tough situation right now. They need Chips to grab ult as soon as possible. Christopher maybe to grab ult also because that seems more realistic. But Spree needs to land, I think, the Graviton Surgery for his life to set this fight up because they don't have that much time left. And in order to kind of get that push to that checkpoint and have good momentum moving on to the second point, basically what needs to happen is that Spree needs to hit a great Graviton Surge, Christopher needs to not use his ultimate, and Chips needs to build just enough to push through to the next point.
We'll see if they can execute that. Like you're saying, there is going to be that charge up on Spree, so he can be his own follow-up, but Deadeye's going to come out from Clanton, watch the kill feed to see if anything big happens from that, because that's going to be a big deciding factor, but the Earthshudder comes out from the defense, or Graviton Surge from Spree, sets up 2, but Mesomorphous and Cabal are getting the kills, they're getting even more. It's just falling apart right now for the side of Project. I don't feel like they have the numbers. Christopher does take out Mesomorphous, but Mete takes out Lude, and that was that resurrection we were talking about. Cabal ends up taking out Christopher, and that should be the nail in the coffin, the Death Blossom to ride it home, and it is going to be Mixx taking it here in the round of 16 and continuing to push forward. Honestly, what a match. Like, that was a good match, and we were talking about how, unfortunately, the new time bank system, it would be nice if Blizzard went to stopwatch, but when these kind of situations happen, it really doesn't matter. It's just good Overwatch to be played as some point hold wins the game for the side of Mixx. Honestly, in some ways, their defense winning it for them.
Yeah, and in a way, I mean, you have to just credit the defense, but also it's just kind of, I don't know, man. It just felt like they had the momentum moving forward, especially from the first point into the second point. Their first point take was just so clean. I just felt like for some reason they didn't coordinate everything very well. Maybe they weren't holding ultimates, or they're just getting desperate. But big part of this, unfortunately, is the fact that there's only so much you can do on the offense, and before you have to, give a hand to the defense for having such good counterplay, such good ultimate management, such good, counter engagements. And that's all I saw realistically, and all that was the fact that they were able to basically keep their ultimates when they needed them, use them positively in a way that really affected it. But I don't know, man. The Pharaoh just did not seem to have done enough, and Lude got, I think, one effective ultimate off, and that's kind of, at the end of the day, that kind of shows the momentum on the game or how the game went.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a really good way to paint that picture, and unfortunately, it is a tough pill, or a bitter pill to swallow for the side of Project, as you really don't want to lose on your offense. Like you were saying at the very beginning, I mean, there is that extra onus, especially in the new time bank, but the offense to execute, or no, you were talking about in respect to the short times on that first King's Row map. There's an extra onus on the offense to execute, but that's true in pretty much every game of Overwatch, just obviously more uniquely true with less time, because there's less mistakes, like you mentioned. But there, when you lose on your offense, it sucks, it hurts, it guts you. But at the same time, that's where you need to turn around. You need to say, fine, we need to work on our offense. It's not an easy thing to say, because that's where the games are usually made or broken. But Project, I mean, they're out. The good story though, Mixx. Is there anything that you think really bodes well for them, a shining side of that the game from them specifically, that looks for them to be able to make it past the quarterfinals, past the semifinals, and into the finals of today?
Honestly, so I'm gonna be honest about this. Really,
unfortunately, your mic is cutting out a little bit again.
Yeah, I think so happens when yeah, but so Ube honestly has impressed me at some points, but Ube really needs to just, I don't even think it's just him, but he needs to be able to play well, because he's a Genji player, he's a Reaper player, which inherently causes some potential issues if he cannot perform as well, because those are high priority and high impact heroes. But at the same time, honestly, they just didn't look so clean on their offense, and I think honestly their win on defense was more about the fact that Team Project just couldn't convert at the end of the day, and I feel like unfortunately that's kind of how it went. So while I do think that they won the game, and I think they have high hopes moving forward, I do think they need to step up their game. I think they need to talk a little more. Maybe they're just not a Dorado team. Maybe that's what it came down to. That's but at the same time, it just feels a little. I don't know. It felt like they won, but it didn't really feel like any of them did anything particularly stand out. I mean, Cabal had some great stuff, but it just did not look like they were They didn't, honestly, they just didn't impress me, but they did well enough, I think, for the victory this game.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree to get on board with that, and it's not to, of course, the same time, guys, while sometimes these post game talks can sound like, you know, maybe we're ragging on one team or another, but at the end of the day, these teams practice a lot, they play a lot, they're here to perform, and when they don't perform to that extra exceptional degree, it's something worth pointing out, and I really do have to agree with you, and that might be a bad foreboding sign for them for the rest of this tournament if they can't step it up, and it could be a situation where maybe somebody who is stepping it up, who is on that good line of play, is better comms, cleaner comms, better executions, cleaner executions, whatever it may be, could go ahead and take a map, if not the match, off of them, and that could be a little bit awkward. You don't want to lose when you've already taken out one of the favorites to win the event. So is there any closing thoughts here for you, Scribe, as we will be following Mixx into the quarterfinals here? They should be taking on Cruza, dude. I imagine Cruza will take out Playing Ducks, and that will be our quarterfinal match, will be Cruza versus Mixx, and that should be another exciting match. But until that happens, like I said, is there any thoughts that you want to close us on before we move into a break here?
Not right now, but hope to see more Overwatch in the future coming up.
Well, sounds good. That's the plan. That is unless the world blows up, guys, we will be hopefully getting some more Overwatch on the stream. It's always the goal. It's always the end plan for this, but it is going to be the ESL Go4 Overwatch Cup number 14 you guys are watching. I want to say big thank you so far for your guys' viewership. It really means a lot to us. If you guys are enjoying what you're watching, definitely check out ! Bracket to check it out. Follow the bracket, see what's going on, and let us know what you guys think about the teams that are playing. Let us know what you guys think about certain matchups, who beat who, or whatever it is. If you guys are interested in additional information, you can type in ! Standings, and that'll give you access to the August standings for the Go4 series, as that monthly finals will be coming up here in just a little while. I believe it is a few, usually around this time of the a month at the beginning, like the first or second week of the beginning of the next month is usually when that ends up happening. Get you guys more information there, and also check out at ESL Overwatch on Twitter so you guys get updated about more ESL Overwatch events and as well as the small cups. But definitely check out the cups if you guys haven't already gone to the bracket to check out, to sign up for your own teams or to play in them. Why not? It's free. It's fun. It's a good time. It's a chance to learn more about Overwatch. But that is that, guys. We'll be getting into the next match. Like I said, quarterfinals, Mixx versus To Be Decided. We'll be right back as outros are just not my thing. ESL Go4 Overwatch Cup number 14. We will be right back, guys, with more action in just a little bit.